guys, it's Amy and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it when you click on my videos. I would like to share some finished projects with you today, as well as some thought processes and other crochet things along my way this week. You know, you set out to work on something and it doesn't always work out the way that you wanted it to. So I kind of ran into some stoppers along my journey this week, and just going to throw it out there. So if you're familiar with me at all, my channel, I try to find things that are a little bit different than what everybody else is working on. I am not one to follow the trends. I do not like bandwagons. I do not like new things necessarily until later. Then I'll come back and look at them later. You know, this Red Heart Granny Square yarn I have no interest in whatsoever. And it's, you know, I like to see what other people are doing with it besides the granny squares. I know that Ross knitted up a hat with it and it turned out really great. So, you know, there's a place for it, I suppose, but it's like one of those things that I'm not feeling it. I'm not into it. So whatever, maybe I'll come back around to it later. So the same thing has happened to me with ombre yarns. Really the one and only ombre yarn I think I've had ever is I've got some Leading Men Fiber Arts minis that are in gradients of green. I think it's called Take It to the Bank. And I've been in the banking industry my whole life, so I thought that was kind of apropos. But, you know, other than doing other types of, you know, like I tried to do you can't really see it. I tried to dye one of my skeins a little bit of an ombre. It didn't really work out too much, but I have kind of that feel to it. You know, it's not like a real ombre. Anyway, so I never really got into the Red Heart Super Saver ombre lines. I think they're gorgeous. I love a lot of the different colors that they've got, but I never bought one. And then, you know, everybody's talking about the premier ones are coming out. So again, I was not looking at that as one that is going to go in my shopping cart anytime soon. So, but now I kind of feel like I need it. I started looking at a Fiber Spider scarf pattern last night, and you know, he uses Red Hearts, you know, he uses a worsted weight quite a bit, and so I'm looking in. I've got some crazy colorways back here, folks, as you can see, and so I was trying to find one that would be about the same amount of yarn that he was using, because I didn't want to end up with a scrap when I was left over. I wanted to take a cake and use it if that was going to be the case. So I got myself all sat down with one, and it was super colorful. And the first thing he says is, this pattern doesn't really work very nicely for a super colorful variegated yarn. The ombre works beautifully, but so that was one of my hurdles. So I stopped right there. I am going to end up getting a premier colorway of some sort of ombre here in the near future. I've got that on my authorized purchase list because, again, it's something that I haven't used before. I can probably wait to find it on sale, and I already have a pattern in mind to use it with. So that I'm going to get on, not bandwagon, but you know, everybody's talking about it. So I'm gonna get some ombre yarn here soon at some point. So the other thing, I brought down my willow squares to keep working on those. Those were like I had extra squares from blankets that I had done in the past, and it almost feels like as soon as I said I was gonna, you know, start working on mine, a lot of other people are coming up with it. Or maybe it's that weird, I don't know about you guys, but my husband and I can be having a conversation about something, and then it will show up on my YouTube feed. So I don't know if there's ears listening, big brothers listening, and you know, providing us with videos that we talk about in our homes. But the willow squares, I might be putting that off to the side and working on that later, because I see too much of it. I'm not interested in being there right now. So I'm gonna authorize myself to put that to the back burner for now. So my ombre. Okay, so then what I wanted to do is work with my minis. Give me a second to pull these down here. Okay, so I've reset myself because I stuttered through that whole section and I don't know where to edit it, so I just started right here. Okay, so as you know, I got pickle jar mania and bought a pickle jar. There were I think there's 42, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. There's 40 little minis here, and they have 24 yards a piece to them. And so when I sat down to say, oh, I'm going to start working on these, first of all, we changed computers a couple weeks ago. I don't know, maybe a month ago, if I told you guys that already. And I lost a bunch of patterns that I had saved. So I had something that I wanted to work on these with, and then I didn't have it anymore. So I was set on having to search again and start kind of over from scratch. Now, most of the examples or patterns of things that people were doing with these minis included solids. And my pickle jar is all variegated. Every single one of them. There isn't a single solid skein here. Some of the color is pretty close to itself. Like this one here has got different yellows. That's as close to a solid skein as I've got here. So number one, I decided to kind of separate them into some colorways. So this is going to be a project together. There are 20 in each of these. I can appreciate these crazy colors up here, but I didn't want them right in the middle of some of these beautiful colorways. So these will be little pops that I might use on something else, yada yada. But this is the project that I will be working on at some point. Now, like I said, I didn't think about when I was purchasing this or thinking about going to use it that there are no solids in here. And it was really giving me a brain hurdle to see a finished pattern with all just variegated, of all different variegated. And so what I think I'm going to do is authorize my purchases at my upcoming yarn crawls and things that are my fiber events that are coming up here in the next few weeks to a month, and authorize myself to either, I see all the time little minis by themselves, it's like $3.50 or something for one, I don't know, maybe $7, I don't remember off the top of my head, that you can buy little minis just all by themselves. And I've seen them in all sorts of solid colors. So that will be fun along the way to pick one up here or there to start to incorporate into a pattern for these. So that was sort of a hurdle. I really kind of wanted to work on something with these and just realized that I don't want to do all variegated. That's like way too much. I need to incorporate some solids. So I'm either going to buy a single solid skein that I will work throughout, or little minis, things like that. That's having to go on the back burner for now. That was a hurdle that I will put to the side and think about later. Okay, so I lost my patterns. And so what I've been doing now, I realized that I have saved some patterns that I forgot I had saved since the computer change. So I was in, looking around last night and went to save a pattern and I'd already had it. So I thought that was really funny. But I am starting to save the yarn that I want to use on that pattern. You guys heard me talk about in, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, I call them my nods, next on deck. That means I've pulled a yarn from here and I have a pattern and it is in a pattern bag or a project bag and sitting to the side waiting for me to be ready to work on that or available to work on that because I'm working on something else right now. Other things that you might go, oh, I like this pattern, I wonder what yarn I might put with it. That's not a nod for me. If I'm claiming it, I know I'm going to use it on a specific project. It's pulled out, it's ready to go, and that gives me a feeling of like security. I've got my next project. I don't have to be wackadoo and think about what I'm going to do next. So my husband was sitting next to me and he saw a shawl and said, ooh, that's really pretty. And I happened to be holding this yarn looking for something. And I said, oh, do you think that'll go with it? And he goes, oh yeah, that looks perfect. So my husband has helped me find my next nod. I thought that was pretty funny. He pretty much stays out of this realm, but when he's got a little 2 cents to offer, I will very happily take it. So I'm excited about working on that. And then, so you have seen, or maybe not, you've seen that I did some Yeezy beginner crochet kit reviews. One was for this kitty hat with the pom-poms, and one is for, my most recent one, is for this 13 square granny square bag. And I absolutely love it. I was so excited to get another kit to review. But it took a long time to video this one and do little snippets here and there, not snippets, but sections of me crocheting or me setting up the next, you know, the next section of my video or whatever. So I had a lot of fun when I was reviewing the final cut, you know, of what I was going to upload. That was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got that opportunity. So I have just a little bit of yarn left from that. I forgot where my thought was. And so one of the things that Yeezy provided is a little pre-made square for your first square. They figured it would be easier for a beginner to learn from here to do the next round and the next round. But no matter how hard I tried, I could not crochet small enough to be the same size as this. And as we understand, the tension has to be the same, you know, for the sizes to be the same. So I did not use this as my beginning square, but what I want to do instead, because I don't know whatever is going to happen to those projects, the hat and the bag, you know, who knows, I can't foresee the future. But what I can tell myself is I'm going to save this as maybe a keychain, or maybe not a stitch marker, but some sort of charm, to always remember this part of my crochet journey that I did those reviews. So I was really excited to see this in the bag, because I knew right away, you know, after I had made my 13 first rounds and none of them were this small, I thought, okay, I'm definitely going to keep this as a little keepsake. So that made me happy. Have a little souvenir from this time frame. Okay, so then I thought it was kind of funny, because this next project, this next finished item, real quick. So I did have enough yarn from the Yeezy kit to make one more smaller hat without the pom-poms, and I wanted the solid, you know, this was about all I had left. I was going to go in 3s, and then I really didn't have much of the browns left, so I just finished the height with the white and then put the browns on at the end. So my son was in a concert with a school, his college, and they were invited to a different college, Washington University, up in St. Louis. And so he was going to go perform with his college group. And so I went, and I'm rambling. And so I sat in, you know, waiting for the concert to start, and was crocheting even during the WashU students. And I thought it was pretty fun. Like, I'm still jamming out to the band and tapping my foot. Like, I was very much involved, but I was crocheting still at the same time. And that was a new one for me. You know, sometimes I've brought my crochet into when he's going to perform, and then it just goes away while I'm watching the performance. And I have to say, I didn't really crochet while his group was up, because obviously I'm watching my son. I love to watch him perform. It's awesome. So I will put that link down below so that you guys can enjoy some great college level jazz band and some singing. There was singing involved as well. It was pretty cool. It was a fun night. So yeah, so I finished the hat. I was super excited about that. The first kitty hat with the pom-poms, you know, it's a kind of a different look, because this one's a little bit smaller, and a little bit closer fit to my head, but I thought that was cute. Anyway, also, so I had one more finished project before my main finished project to share. I know that I had said that I was done after all my Cambridge Nights hats that I did. I still had this Red Heart with Love stripes that I still had some of this to use up, and I said that I was done working on those, and I put them to the side. But as I started to hit these hurdles this week with projects that I was going to work on, I found that I went back to making a hat just so that I could sort of chew on where I was going, because I was running into all these hurdles, and I needed to work on something and put my second brain, you know, their second level of your brain to work, like be working on this kind of mindlessly and chewing over what am I going to do about my pattern yarn mismatches. Okay. So this is called my go-to beanie. I've shown you this a million times, and it starts out with, it's not my pattern. It is by, this is her name right here. Sorry. Donna B Creates. And she starts out in the round. This is used for a bulky weight yarn, and this is a worsted, but it's kind of fat, so I still used it for this pattern. You start out with 2 singles and then 2 half doubles and then 4 doubles, and then you do your increases, and then you do your sides in half doubles. And she does a crab stitch at the bottom, but I kind of was going for more of a, you know, male look for the hat, and didn't want it. I think the crab border kind of looks a little bit girly or something, a little too sweet. So what I did was just did a back loop and third loop. So these are half double crochets, and here's the front loop. And so I grabbed the back loop and the third loop to create kind of this foot where it pushes out that row of the gray there. I like the way that looks. So anyway, it was nice to work on something kind of with a different section of my brain while I was trying to figure out what it was I going to do about this pattern, the other patterns. So, okay, so my main thing. That was a rambly part, I'm sorry. I knew I wanted to work with this cotton blend that I purchased a long, long time ago. This was at Walmart, I found a long, long time ago. And it was normally $5.88. This was on sale for $3.50 on clearance. It's a 3-weight. They suggest a 6mm J hook for crochet. It is 392 yards, and it is 50% cotton and 50% polyester. So it's a really great color blue that I found. Is her name? Spectrum. So this is the great blue that I had in my stash from a sale, clearance sale. So then I was online, I don't know when, I don't know where. I've had it for a while, and I think I bought 3 of this colorway on a clearance so that it would match. And eventually I would put them together when I learned more about cotton and uses for cotton. And I've made a hat out of this. I made a sun hat from a Yarnspirations pattern, and I really like that one. So anyway, this was one I spoke about in a previous video where it's just, there's no stretch, there's no play. It is what it is. This, but it's sturdy, and I really like it. So anyway, I got to thinking about the swimsuit cover-up that I made last year, and there were scallops involved, and it didn't fit right, and I changed it up, and it was kind of a Frankenstein thing that I kind of made work, but whatever. So I was thinking about people who go to the beach or go to the pool area, and maybe they think they're real cute in their little swimsuit, and they don't want a full-on blanket or a towel, a big cotton towel or whatever, a big terry cloth towel. Some people really cute just want to go and lay out and not have, you know, they don't need the water absorption of the towel is what I'm saying. So maybe just a light cover up instead that kind of was like a towel but not really a towel. So this is the Slanted Shells wrap that you guys have seen me do before. And I thought that it could be, you know, not that I wear a bikini, that hurt my back. But if I were going to go to the beach and think I'm cute, but not really want a full-on towel covering my cuteness, but I'm modest, so I might want to wear this over me a little bit. I don't know. It was a changing thought as I was going. It could just be a cotton scarf if that's your jam. You know, it is the same pattern. I didn't change the pattern up at all, except for the color stripings. And so I did 2 rows. It starts with a foundation row of double crochets, and then I did 2 shells rows, and then I started what my pattern was going to be. So that was 9 rows of the multicolor, and then 3 rows of the dark blue, because something was just telling me that in color patterns in life, you always go in 3s or something. I don't know. That was a thing. It was a thought. I don't know if it's for real or I just made it up. But it certainly isn't one that needs to be like blocked. I mean, it doesn't. Its weight is there. Look at me, always upside down showing you guys. So I'm trying to do it with nothing behind it. It was interesting for me because it starts with the foundation row. Okay, so here I am coming up. So it starts with the foundation double crochet row. So I wanted to end it the same way that I started it. So here's my ending rows of the 2 rows of shells. And then I had to do a chain row, like to end the top here, so that I could make the double crochet row to match the foundation row. And then I decided that I wanted my edge to have a border. I could have been a little bit more generous with the single crochets. I think that they are a little bit, it's a little bit tight. I can give it a stretch, you know, pull on it just a little bit, but it's pretty long. I used 310 grams of yarn combined, and it measures about 50 inches by 20 inches. So I really like it. You know, when you kind of make up a purpose for something, a use for something, you're like, it could work for that, right? It could be that. But then I also saw these pictures somewhere along the way, I'll insert it here, of these cute little oblong coasters. You know, everybody makes a coaster that's round, but this was a cute little oblong coaster with your little cookies on the side there. So I thought that was really cute. And I started to think, Jude showed us, was it Jude? I think it was Jude. A gorgeous table runner. And I started thinking, well, this could kind of be like a table runner idea. And would I make the coasters to go with it? And then it was kind of weird because it's either a table wrap or a body wrap. Like, should that be the same thing at all? But I just really love this pattern so much. You guys have seen me do it before, and with superwash merino. And it's an easy pattern to go. It's a 4-row repeat once you get going, just to get your shells on the slant like that. So I had started working the pattern. You know, sometimes the cubbies are a little bit deep, so there might be a whole row here. Like, there might be a whole row of yarn behind that I don't see. And so when I started working on this, I could just see like one cake of this and the full cake of this. It wasn't a full cake, the 1 cake of each of these. And I started to count my rows, and I measured how many 9 rows of the multi would get me if I did another 3 rows, you know, and came out here and found that I had this picture, all that more variegated to work with. So I was super excited. Ended up not using it at all. I still have most of that. I think I didn't even get into that, because here's this. So I think this ended what I was working on. I didn't even need to find that. So I've got some more of that. It was the first and only comfy cotton blend from Lion Brand is who makes that. I had never used that before, and so I really like it. So yeah, little blue striped beach cover up. Maybe not beach, maybe, you know, because you don't want to sit on this on the sand. For that, I would want a full blanket or a full towel, but maybe you're laying out by the pool, you know. And again, this being cotton, it's going to absorb some water if you do get wet. So all right, I think that was my craziness. All right, guys, thank you for sitting with me today. I really appreciate your time. Have a wonderfully blessed weekend, and please come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye. What you got? I got